Greetings and welcome to the M2 Technology video series. This episode is number 41, The Very Best OS. Thank you for tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen, and code writers of all ages, it's a jungle out there. Where to possibly begin on this topic? Out of all the operating systems, you decided to go for the Windows 10 upgrade, and even though Bill Gates personally guaranteed you the best operating system in the jungle, you are now stuck wondering why you get persistent updates which shut your computer down when all you really wanted was a stable operating system that you can use for your internet endeavors. And now what you have is more patches and more fixes for problems that they created in the first place. And to add insult to injury, when you really need to fix a problem in the worst way, you're told to go sign on to a blog and discuss it with other people that are having the same problem. And around you go again. And there's no accountability. You can't even talk to one of the programmers, one of the code writers that created the situation. And the internet is full of misnomers and misdirections, and around you go until you're ready, like me, to throw your computer out the window and go dust off your CB radio from high school. And browsers, search engines, goodness gracious, to call it a jungle would be a tremendous understatement, with extensions on top of extensions, some of which you can't even remove because your operating system hasn't given you the authority on your own computer, which you bought and paid for. But before I bust a blood vessel in my brain box, let me reset the breakers and calmly go back to the beginning. Back in the days shortly after the dinosaur, there was the Neanderthal, and the likes of which were Carnegie, Rockefeller, Gould, and Morgan. These were not good people. These were people that were tenacious in taking advantage of the resources that the earth had offered. Fast forward a few billion years, and we have mankind. And we have gentlemen like Bill Gates, Musk, Jack Ma, and of course the boys, Bezos and Page. Now, why are we on this train ride, ladies and gentlemen? Because I want to give you a fundamental fact. These people are not necessarily looking out for your best interest. They are masters at public relations, nothing short of propaganda. And remember, these gentlemen are not gentle. And when technology and power meet, you have a breed the likes of which make Donald Trump look like Jan Brady. Or as my good friend in Palo Alto likes to say, they eat their young. So before you're fully convinced, I digress. Please understand there is a point to this. You must be diligent and you must look out for yourself. And even though that advice is way dumbed down and simplified, you have got to think like the beautiful creatures of the jungle and adapt. And ever so quickly as technology rolls forward. So, what to do? You need to have a computer. You need to have an operating system. What to do? Well, fortunately, you have M2 technology on your side. We had gone almost simultaneously in 10 directions testing operating systems. And if you are like us and you want simple, dependable, stable, and yet functional, and you don't want to be shut down constantly, here's what you do. Accept the fact that you were relatively happy with Windows 7. Now, downgrading from 10 to 7 is going to pose a challenge. Incidentally, I do want to point out that the guys at Linux and Red Hat are excellent, and their spirit is alive and well with open source, which we at M2 Technology firmly believe in. Now, Windows 7. It's easy to find. Most likely you will not get a direct download from Microsoft. It has been officially discontinued 5 or 6 times and quasi-unsupported for about a year now. This is your best course of action for Phase 1. Go on to eBay. Here is a bloke we've dealt with for some time. What he does is takes a British version of Windows 7 and markets it to people in the United States. Here you see Windows 7, but most importantly with a genuine product key. Total price only $7.87. You can have him email it to you almost immediately. He will also make available a link for download. These downloads are safe, however, you always need to watch out for parasites that attempt to camp on your download. So just be careful and watch specifically what questions you're answering and what code is actually being downloaded. If you're unsure, run a good virus scan to make sure your download is safe. Windows 7 with Service Pack 1 is fine. And also identify whether your PC, laptop, or desktop is 32-bit or 64-bit. If it is newer, with a newer processor, chances are it is the 64-bit. Now for the fun part. Let the games begin. Do you think that Microsoft would make it easy for you to downgrade from 10 to 7? No. You are about to be thrown into the arena, but have faith. You will get through this. Move slowly and pay attention to some of those little details you've never paid attention to before because you haven't had to. Now, first of all, you have downloaded the program Windows 7. You are going to need to install it on your computer. There is an excellent program which is free to do just that. Please welcome your first ally, Rufus. What Rufus is going to do is take that Windows 7 program and put it on a thumb drive for you in an ISO format so that when you load from BIOS, it will know to access the Win 7 and execute it. It is self-explanatory, but you do need to pay attention, especially if you're using it for the very first time. Go to Rufus and please use a thumb drive for your USB and make sure it's 16 gigabyte or larger, preferably 32. I had seen the price points drop down quite a bit. $5 for a 32 gigabyte You are now in the home stretch, but look, there's another hurdle. Most likely, your hard drive, whether it be a hard disk drive or SSD drive, is formatted to GPT. When Windows 7 was written, formats were MBR. Now, although GPT has some obvious advantages, there is no major drawback with MBR. I personally really like those Mustangs, and the new ones, the 2018s, are beautiful. Now, back to Win 7. If Win 7 is loading and then stops with a message that it cannot be installed to the disk, your main drive, because of a partition problem, most likely you're going to have to change the GPT to MBR. If you go online, you will not find the solution. However, you will find 1,000 ways not to do it and will become highly frustrated. I often wonder if Microsoft employs little gremlins to go out there and throw you around as you're spinning out of control. Here is the procedure. It is very simple, but you have got to follow it to the letter.
Can't I just pay somebody to do all this techie stuff for me?
Oh, go to the Apple Store already, will you?
For the purposes of brevity, I'm going to take you through the most common scenario. You're attempting to install Windows 7. You come to the screen that asks you, which version of Windows 7 do you like? I like to use, and I encourage you to do the same, Windows 7 Home Premium. The next screen is asking me if I want to do an upgrade or if I want to do a custom. I'm going to use custom because custom is going to clear everything off of the hard drive and start it new. So if you have valuable files or things you want to keep, make sure that you copy those files off. I know you've heard that 1,000 times. I'm clicking on Custom Advanced. Now we have a problem because it's telling me Windows cannot be installed to Disk 0 Partition 1. Actually, it can't be installed to any of the partitions because we are in GPT partition mode and we've got to get it moved over to MBR. So, what do? We go back out and then attempt to close, and you will get a question, do you want to cancel Windows installation? You're going to click yes, you do want to cancel. Okay, it takes you back to the original screen for the installation of Windows 7. From here, we're going to work our M2 technology magic. Press Shift and quickly tap F10. Now you will see you have entered into DOS. Back in the days of the dinosaur, DOS was all we had. And most of us old schoolers actually learned to become proficient in DOS. Back then, of course, IBM ruled the world and they needed an operating system to control disk drives. Let's now enter some DOS commands. I want you to type in carefully one word, disk part. D-I-S-K-P-A-R-T, all lowercase. Disk part. Then simply hit enter. Now simply type in list, L-I-S-T, all lowercase, and hit enter. We want to select disk 0. So type in select disk 0. with spaces, all lowercase. Hit enter. Disk 0 is now the selected disk. Now we want to clean disk 0. So we're going to type in clean, all lowercase. C-L-E-A-N. Hit enter. Disk part succeeded in cleaning the disk. All is well, you're now home free. You are now in disk partition MBR mode. We are going to close DOS and we're going to go back to the screen that installs Windows 7. The setup is starting. We have our question again. As I mentioned, I like to go with Windows 7 Home Premium. I accept the terms and conditions because without that, no Windows. And I want to select custom because I want to make sure that nothing is left on the hard drive. Okay, disk 0 has unallocated space and it is the whole drive. Next. And Windows is now installing. You are on your way.
Now, please remember, you are going to need drivers. Do not pay for your drivers. Simply go to the website of the company that manufactured your computer. For Dell, they make it very easy. You can retrieve the service tag number off the case of your desktop or laptop and simply enter it, and it will list all the drivers that are needed for your computer. They also conveniently give you the option to search by model number and software type, in this case, Win 7. At M2 Technology, we have two bench units that have been running Windows 7. Both have not given us any problems and have been running flawlessly in all applications. The one unit we have does not access the internet at all, and it is an absolute delight to work with. You may wish to consider, if you're doing performances with a Karaoke King system or you're a mobile DJ playing MP3s, to keep a Win 7 unit off the internet. Even though you'll hear you need updates and you need new service packs, you do not. You can run a successful computer off the internet with Windows 7. And I recommend that you have one unit that will do just that. And your newer unit you can use for downloads, run it through a virus scan, and then load those add-ons to your Win 7 unit that you are keeping off the net. And now a little teaser for products of 2025, like the M2 Technology processor, the M2 05183227, which will prove to have obvious advantages. Or something a little more on the practical side, like a modified air conditioning unit that will save you 30% on electricity cost. Or how about this gem, the White Tooth Karaoke microphone embedded right into your front tooth. And of course, the Arizona breakfast oven that uses nothing but the power of the sun to cook your breakfast. See these products and so much more on future editions of the M2 Technology video series. This has been video number 41, the very best OS. Thank you so very much for watching.
Now it's been 10,000 years, man has cried a billion tears for what he never knew. Now man's reign is through, but through eternal night, the twinkling of starlight, so very far away, maybe